scene. We come up with a pop song. No castles, no dreams, no prince to tag along.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Modeling Interiors in Revit. Fantastic! So today we'll be looking at how to model a 3D wall panel, which then morphs into a seat in Revit. So what we're going to do is start off by drawing a very generic interior wall, making it about 3,000 millimeters high. And yeah, we're going to take it step by step. I believe this is a very user-friendly tool to know, especially if you're going to want any curves. So we're going to go into the massing and site, and we're going to click on in place mass. Then we're just going to give our wall mass a name. I am naming it interior wall panel. And we are then going to type in RP, which stands for reference plane. And we're going to draw 4 lines, which are almost the same space apart. And then we're going to dimension this. But before we do that, just make sure that you align it to the walls if that helps, just so we know it's the same width apart. Then we're going to press DI for dimension. We're going to click on the reference plane lines, and then right at the top of the dimension, a little EQ sign comes up, and you're going to click on it to make sure that your reference planes are the same width apart. Great! Once you've done that step, we're then going to click on the reference line, and then a prompt comes up, click to name. You're going to click on that prompt, and we're going to name the first one A, and then we're going to name the second one B, and the third one C, and the fourth one D. So this really is helpful when you're drawing in spaces that you won't necessarily have the opportunity to view as you're drawing, and it really just holds that line, that graphic representation to that field, to that reference plane. And then we're going to go into our east elevation. Just make sure that you're on the opposite elevation, the side view, because now we're going to be drawing the profile of our lines. Now you're going to make sure to click on model line, and you're going to make sure that 3D snapping is not selected and that you're drawing in the correct reference. Going on reference plane 1 or reference plane A. Just at the top, we're going to make sure that our line is about 200 millimeters offset. So I normally like to make my benches around 600 or 580 deep. We're thinking this is probably going to be a waiting area bench. It's not really going to need that much comfortability, I would say. And then we're going to go for it. So remember, you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to try out what works best for you. The nice thing about using this tool is that you can always go back and refine the shape at the end, in between, and right at the beginning. So don't be too hard on what shape you're doing. Just get the shape going. That's what's most important. Great. And then you're just going to delete your reference line, the reference line that you're drawing at the bottom, just so we know that it was 600 spaced out. And then we're going to click on our spline, because we use the spline tool to draw this. You're going to click, and you can always add another line. So if you just click on the line and you double click, it'll ask you if you want to add another point, and that will allow you to massage the shape a lot better. So if you click on the whole shape, you'll know that now you've drawn the entire perimeter of what needs to be shown in your model. Great, fantastic. So as soon as that's done and you're satisfied, we're going to draw another line. What I found is truly helpful, you guys can let me know down in the comments below, is that I just press CO and I copy the original shape and I just edit it in the second half instead of redrawing it. But you guys can let me know what works best for you. Just make sure that you're on the second reference plane. So this would be reference plane B. So as you can see, we've pressed CO for copy. We've copied the extents of the first reference plane. now we're going to make sure that we're in reference plane B, as you can see at the top. And because of that, we now know the extent of reference plane A without having to redraw the shape. I find this very useful if there's a time constraint or if you really want to get the particular shape right from the beginning without wasting time. And then now we're just going to make sure that it hits right at the back of the wall, because we'll be drawing against the wall, right? And it's going to make a continuous shape throughout. So now you're going to double click on the model line, and you're going to see that you're able to add control or remove control points. And that's going to allow you to massage the shape throughout. And you're going to create forms that speak to what your design intent is. Great. And now we're going to do the second one, the third one. And we're going to press CO. We're going to copy that form. And then we're going to make sure that the form is on the correct reference plane. That's super important. Otherwise, we'll just have model lines that are on top of each other and the form is not going to be picked up well going forward. You guys should let me know how this is going for you, what kind of tutorials you want me to explore. If anyone has any insight on another form of drawing this type of form in Revit, let me know down in the comments below. Very much looking forward to hear what you guys think. As always, I accept your support and it's been fantastic so far. Thank you to those who've subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and share this video with those around you who may be using Revit for interiors. Great. So now we're just going to pull the points, and that's going to change the spline of our shape. And as you can see, don't be too scared about the lines crossing over each other. As you remember, we've drawn this on different reference planes altogether. So these are drawn in reference plane A, reference plane B, C, and D. So it's going to look great at the end, and just have a little bit of patience with yourself. Make sure to always use the CO tool, which is copy. Always use the MV tool, which is move. We don't move things loosely in Revit because that might create inaccuracies. Great. And this allows you to just move your spline tool. I really love it. You can like add or remove points really to get the shape that you want. I feel like in interiors, it's very crucial to get those little millimeters that you want of the backrest or of the seat. It's really helpful. Great. And then you're going to click your 3D tool, and we're going to go in 3D. Now you can see that the reference planes are all hosted on this wall, and our model line is hosted and linked to the reference plane. And those are our spline tools. So you can also edit your spline tools in 3D if that is something that you want. I personally prefer to work in 3D myself so that I can see how the shape is changing and morphing, and I can sort of imagine it. You know, I think that is very helpful for you as well. Just get your most basic steps done on elevation on your side view to make sure that it is the most accurate that it can be. Great, then just keep playing around with that, getting the form that you want. I think it's very nice to have a very curved, linear kind of, 3D wall that morphs into a seat. You normally find them in a lot of commercial buildings or hotel reception areas. I think it's a really nice introduction to an interior. And you can also clad it with many things. Most people go for like a timber veneer, can potentially have metallic cladding as well, but we will go into that a lot later. So if you're still tuning in, a lot later in the video, we will look at how to show this in Inkscape. And I like Inkscape because it's like a 3D modeling visualization for Revit, and it is quick, it is intuitive. You don't have to do any extra steps. It's a plugin. I'll show you how to use that a bit later, and we will take a little snippet of our 3D wall. Great. And we're going to just make sure that we have clicked on Create Solid on our wall. And I'll show you how to use that a bit later, and we will take a little snippet of our 3D wall. We're going to go into the floor plan, and we're going to create another reference plane that is directly onto the wall. And this reference plane we're going to name 1. And then we're going to create a model line, and we're going to make sure we have picked the correct reference plane. This is NB, very important. Make sure you're on the correct reference plane when drawing. So now we're clicking on reference plane 1, and we're going to create a little box. So think of this as the width, the extent of the material that you're using to create your wave. So for the purpose of this video, we will be using a timber slat. So we're going to make it about 30 or 20, depends what you want, but definitely give it a width that is worth cutting. And we're going to see what that looks like in 3D. So that's your model line. And we're going to then click on create form, void form, because we wanted to cut through this void that we've created. Great, so we don't want it to start right at the beginning. So we're going to you're going to tab. So this is very important. Just click tab until you click on your entire void form. On your properties bar, it has to say void form. Then you know you've clicked on the correct instance. Great, create void form again in 3D, and voila, we've created our first slat. And that would be the extent of the profile of the seating. What I find very disturbing, I don't know if anyone else has encountered this, is that we can't necessarily array our void forms. So the only way that we can do it for now, unless somebody knows another way that is more efficient, is that we need to CO, which is copy our mass voids. So you're going to add the 30, which is the width of your void, plus where you want it to end, leaving every space, making it very continuous. Great, so it's going to be 30 plus 30, which is 30 the mass void and 30 the space, and that's going to give you 60, and you're going to CO every time CO, which is copy, by 60. If there's an easier way, somebody please comment down below, and we will be very appreciative. Great, and as you've copied a bit more, I find it easier to go into the 3D view, and you can press tab to copy the one, or you can select all of the void masses and then click your shift button and minus, and that will get rid of anything that you don't want to copy. Because as you can see, if you copy in this way, you're not selecting the input, and then you can go into your elevation view, and we're going to press CO, and we're going to copy from mass to mass. So by that, I mean, if it's a solid form from the beginning, copy to the solid form at the end as well, just so your line cuts at the same place. Keep checking on your 3D view if this is working successfully, if there's anything you want to change. Again, CO, copy, we're going to copy from solid slat to solid slat again. Now, don't be scared that you're going to copy too much of it and let it get to the end, because you can always delete void forms that are not cutting through anything. So if your void form, I think we ran through an issue here, if your void form doesn't want to cut through a solid form, I think for now we can just move on. Sometimes Revit just glitches in some instances, or you'll find that your extent of your spline is wider than the cut. So in that instance, you might just need to draw that particular void form for that area and then go into your 3D view and pull the extent of it out. I'll show you how to do that a bit later. As you can see, when it is orange, it means it hasn't cut through anything. You did see the warning pop up. And yeah, sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches and see what works and what doesn't, but definitely keep going. As you can see, all the highlighted forms are there. Make sure to unhighlight the void the mass form and only the void form. Great, we're gonna CO. So normally the more void forms you have, the slower the computer will be depending on the kind of computer you have. So I say save at every copy. You never know what's going to happen and you don't want to lose your project. So just make sure that you continue to save as you continue to create the void forms. Right now, I think we've copied about, I don't know, 89 void forms or something like that, and the computer is having a bit of an issue. So just stay clear of that. It's just a Revit thing at the moment. And great, then we'll just delete any of the void forms that are not cutting through anything. Then we'll see what that looks like. Go into your 3D view to make sure if that's what you need. So we still do have an issue with that one void form that does not want to cut through the mass. I'm not really sure what that is. Best possible solution is to redraw that particular void and see if you can cut through the mass individually. So I think it's a great thing that we are seeing this and can troubleshoot this issue together. If anyone else has experienced this, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know how you've solved it. For me personally, I feel like the most logical way to solve it is to draw this individually or copy the mass void individually and make sure it cuts through that spot. Great, then just go into 3D and click on the model line. And just remember to create the form. Make sure to create a void form. Click on the top in the taskbar. Great, just make sure you get it somewhere in the middle. Because remember, we're cutting 30 and having a slat by 30 as well. Create form, and let's hope we get a better pop-up this time. Great, and it's been cut. I think the issue was just probably a Revit issue, but remember to keep trying it again and again. And if you've got any other issues that you might encounter while creating this form, just comment down in the comments below and we can try help. Great, so it cuts. I think we just have to align it a bit better as well. So there you have it. I think we're pretty much close to creating our slatted wall 3D art seat. I think I know the issue. So make sure to continue the slat size because we were using instances of 30 and this might be 20. So remember what I said, you can always go back and edit the profile. You can edit this. I like to go to a smaller scale as well. So this is 20 and remember we're using 30. So you can click on the dimension line there and you can change that to 30. Great, and as you can see, the form is almost drawn. We're almost there. And this is mostly just to show you how you would cut through a door or an opening. So assuming this is at reception, you probably do have some access hatches, or if the way to the offices is through here, you can use this. And you create a void form as well. So we go into our elevation front view and we create a model line, and then we go and we click on the taskbar that says create form and we create a void form. Now, and then you go into 3D after that, and then you pull out the extents of the void to make sure that it's cutting through the entire void. Fantastic. And then we have a door cut through. But for the purpose of this video, I won't be continuing with the door. This is just to show you that if you do have any openings, you can definitely create this while having the 3D wall component. I think it's a fabulous feature to have, honestly. It is super great that you can still cut through this form and it acts as a natural Revit wall. I think it's very helpful going forward. Cool, now we're just going to click on the front face of our form and we're going to give it a texture. So we're going to add some, I like to use some oak, some natural oak, whitewashed oak, to make it look really harmonious with the environment. So let's see what that looks like. You can grab your image. Let's see what this is going to look like. So you can always scale it down to whatever scale you'll be having in of the material. So if you'll be using a metallic material, you can use that scale as well. However, there are preset materials on Revit as well if it's just a quick study and there isn't necessarily a material in place. So we're doing this just so we can see what this looks like on Enscape. So as I mentioned earlier, Enscape is a plugin for Revit. It makes it very seamless and easy to add characters into your space, as well as adding, those finer interior details that you might not necessarily have the time to model in that instance. Great, just remember to name your default new material. You can name it interior oak veneer, or whatever material you're using. Just remember to always name your material so you know what you're using going forward if you need to edit it or if a material has been displaced. Great, so we can see just in the 3D preview of our Revit model that the material is in place. And I'm going to show you guys a tiny little trick. We're going to go into our level 1 and we're going to take a camera view. We're going to take a camera view and we're going to make sure that we have a view that we can then take into Enscape. Enscape usually takes a little bit of time to open up depending on the complexity of your Revit model. However, this is just a wall for now, so it should be okay. Let's see what we're gonna get. Again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know down in the comments below if this tutorial was helpful, if you'll be using it in future projects, or if we should look at different 3D wall art that you guys want to use going forward. Great, so we have our 3D wall there. So I would say you should feel free to add some strip lighting if you want. You can add some people. Inkscape is a very user-friendly tool, I would say. You don't necessarily need to have a lot of training to use it. You just put in the assets. These are pre-saved, so you don't have to download anything. You don't have to save any space on your computer to get it done either. Very, very good software. Again, if you want a full Enscape and Revit interior tutorial, let me know and we can look at what that looks like and we can explore the various options that we have on Enscape available for interiors and how we can use those assets to better our interior views. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial and for making sure that you are subscribed. And it's been great. Honestly, it's been great learning with you guys as well.
We're out here where the vibe's strong, grinding through the night where we all belong.